All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, last year, the San Francisco Giants were the toast of the town as they finished with the best record in Major League Baseball. The Giants won a franchise best 107 games during the regular season, but they were thwarted in the NLDS by their rivals in the Los Angeles Dodgers, who ended their season on their own home field. Now, the Giants last year caught lightning in a bottle as they got the most out of some veteran players in their lineup, while they also, had some guys who just simply overachieved. But things are a lot different this season. Following last night's loss to the San Diego Padres, San Francisco is now 41 and 41. They're 12 and a half games back of the Dodgers, who are in first place in the West. And then on top of that, they're about six and a half games behind the second place Padres now. The only thing that is keeping the Giants' playoff hopes alive now is due to the fact that we have an even more expanded postseason this year in Major League Baseball. Three wild card spots, and that's it. I mean, you think about it right now in the standings, the Giants are just 3 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies for the final wild card spot in the National League. And that's the one thing that is going to keep them relevant at this point, unless they're able to pick up their performance on the field. But you just think about this Giants team in compared to last year. The retirement of Buster Posey was huge. I mean, Buster Posey for so many years was a centerpiece for this team. He was also a leader, and he was part of that core of that Giants team that won 3 World Series championships last decade in a 5-year stretch. So, not having a guy like that in your lineup, not just a lineup, but in the clubhouse, in the dugout during games, it makes a big difference for what the Giants are looking to do. Losing a guy like starting pitcher Kevin Gausman in free agency, that was big for the Giants as well, because you think about it, and it wasn't just Gausman, excuse me, from last year, but it's just the fact that the pitching was at the core of what the Giants were doing last year. And you think about when the Giants were winning those World Series championships, their pitching was their strong point, along with the timely hitting. And they got a lot of that during the regular season last year. The Giants pitching is not what it was last year. They're ninth this year in team ERA in the National League, while they were second last season just to the Dodgers. For manager Gabe Kapler, he was able to push all of the right buttons last year. Just hasn't come into play so far this season. I think his system is still effective and can be effective. It just has not come together so far this season in 2022 for San Francisco. You look at the Giants and then you ask yourself, being that they're 3 games back of the Phillies for that final wild card spot, do they have a legitimate chance to make the postseason? Statistically, yes. I mean, if you look at the numbers, and of course the fact that the expanded postseason, gives them hope. But with that said, you know, the Giants need to be buyers at the trade deadline to make a legitimate push. But then, due to the fact of the expanded postseason, you're going to have more teams and more GMs looking around prior to the trade deadline and asking themselves, do they have a legitimate shot? And more teams could potentially be buyers. So that's going to shrink the pool as far as who is actually going to be traded. Giants definitely need to make a move. And, they were thwarted in free agency, a couple of times last year. As far as going out there and trying to make a splash, I definitely think this coming off season that the Giants are going to be players and try to make a big time move or two to really legitimize their chances in the West. But make no mistake about it. I said prior to this season that the Giants were going to take a step back this year, just due to the fact that everything came together so fluently for them last season. And it's tough to do that 2 seasons in a row, which the Giants are finding out right now. The Padres are an improved team this season. The Dodgers are still the Dodgers, and that's making it tough in the West. You look at the teams in contention for the wild card spot, the two teams in the Central, both St. Louis and Milwaukee. Obviously, the loser of that division is going to be in the mix. And then you think about the Mets, Phillies, and Braves in that East. And I mean, the way that the Mets and Braves are playing, if you're the Giants, you're not going to catch them. So, you want to focus on the St. Louis's of the world, focus on the Philadelphias of the world and try to surpass them for a wild card spot. Anything can happen, and especially with an expanded postseason. But for the Giants, you want to try to finish at least the first half of the season on a strong note, get some momentum for yourself heading into the second half and see what happens from there. But nonetheless, not the start that the Giants expected. They're still relevant. Let's just see if they can find a way to turn things around for themselves in the National League. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There is also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.